Good morning. I want to thank everyone for coming out on this very beautiful morning. Sun's out, skies are blue, temperatures are below zero. Yeah. Mike Shermer just asked me whether I ran outside this morning. I said, no, the treadmill looked really good. I want to thank you again for joining us. In case you don't know, I'm Brent Patterson. I'm the Interim Vice President for Student Affairs. And I want to thank you for being here on this very special day for the Division of Student Affairs in Illinois State University. Today we are celebrating our 2015 inductees into the Steve and Sandi Adams Legacy Hall of Fame. Most people will tell you that the mission of a university is to teach students, conduct research, and contribute through service to a global community. Well, that's very true, but I have another definition that I think fits a little better, and that is what we're about, and especially in student affairs, is changing people's lives. And the staff in student affairs know that I'm always asking, how is this activity, how is this program, how is this service, how is what you're doing making a difference in student lives? Well, today we get to honor some of those people that made a difference while they were here as students and have continued to do that after they graduated in their service to the community and the work that they do. And we're very glad that they are with us today and to honor them. The induction into the Hall of Fame is an honor bestowed upon alumni who served as student leaders or student employees in the Division of Student Affairs. Recipients are recognized for their contributions while on campus and their post-graduation commitment to contributing new knowledge through research, scholarship, and creative pursuits, providing enduring dedication to individualized attention, promoting teamwork, respect for differences, and goals that celebrate diversity, and enhancing the quality of life for communities through their collaborative and individual action. Vice President Emeritus Steve Adams and former First Lady of Student Affairs Sandi Adams really emulated these values both in their careers and their commitments to the community. So today we will talk a little bit about their contributions, but then we're going to spend more time talking about this great group of people who are joining the Hall of Fame. Steve's roots run deep with Illinois State. He attended Metcalf and University High School. He used to sneak into baseball and football games. Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't in the script. He served as Director of Admissions, Assistant Vice President for Enrollment Management and Academic Services, and as Vice President for Student Affairs. This winter, Steve returned as the voice of the Redbird basketball team, and I think many of you, like me, were very happy to see him back in that role. So thank you. Sandi's a proud Redbird alumni, served as an educator in Bloomington Public Schools for many years. I actually have a number here. Would you like me to share that or not? Okay. It says 75 years. No. 33 years she worked in that. And after retirement, then continued to work at Illinois State as a supervising teacher, working with student teachers in the Department of English. In retirement, they continue to influence the lives of students, colleagues, family, and friends. They're certainly very impressive individuals, but together they're even more impressive as a highly respected team that served the university in many capacities at events on campus and across the country. And besides that, they're just great people. I had the privilege of working with Steve when he was in the vice president role, and it was quite an honor to be able to do that. So please join me in welcoming Sandi and Steve Adams.
This is only Steve Adams. This is not Sandi Adams up here, so I thought I'd make that clear. And you can see I don't have all of my voice today because I was busy at senior night the other evening, getting the Redbirds through that game with Southern Illinois. And, you know, Brent, I want to tell you, I'm very proud to have you in the role of Vice President for Student Affairs. It's well deserved, and certainly if anybody's paid the price at this institution and all across the country, it's Brent. So congratulations to you. And please. And to Greg Alt as well. I know Greg is here. He's serving as Vice President for Finance and Planning right now. And I hearken back to a year ago, almost to the day, when our inaugural class came through. Bob Freitag, who is a member of that class, is here. And Bob said he wanted to speak. He even ended a trial early. He's a judge. Said he wanted to speak again this year to the new group, and I said this is not going to happen. But nonetheless, if you'll remember the mood on campus a year ago right now, it was pretty bleak, folks. Let me tell you. And even though President Dietz is attending a foundation board meeting this morning, he was planning to be here all the way up until yesterday. We were stiffed by the then president of Illinois State University. And I like to look upon it as a 7-month blip on the Illinois State University historical radar screen. But in the end, Illinois State University's trustees got it right. And they have a guy named Larry Dietz, who is the real deal in that role right now. And I guarantee you, if he were here today, you would see why. But I send regrets not on behalf of him, but I know that he would certainly like to be here. But foundation dollars these days are very valuable to this institution with the cuts that are on the horizon. So anyway, thank you very much, Brent, and good morning, everybody. Sandy joins me in expressing our sincere appreciation to so many vitally important people. So many vitally important people all across the campus for continuing what is merely a dream 4 years ago to a reality last year at the inaugural induction, to yet another chapter of some special recognition today, and they sit before me here in the front row, and you will have a chance to meet them. And I've had a chance to get to know them a little bit this morning, and certainly read their bio statements, and how impressive that is. You know, our hearts are warmed by the excitement and pride that fills this room. But now that I think about it, our bodies, on the other hand, would have been warmed even more today with an additional 2 to 3 weeks in Florida where we were a month ago. We would have come back for today, but if we could have just stayed for the rest of the month of February, that would have been great. And I told you, Sandy, we were leaving too much of the winter ahead of us here, and it's not cooperated during the month of February. Well, all kidding aside, we thank you all for coming today, faculty and staff, vice presidents who are with us, members of the Hall of Fame Planning and Selection Committee. I can't even begin to tell you how grateful we are for all you do for this program. Sandy and I have nothing to do with the selection. We have nothing to do with the nominations. The only thing that we do is come to this one time a year and join in the recognition of so many deserving people. Student Affairs distinguished retirees. I know there are some out there. They always tell me to recognize them. I know Mike Shermer's here, Doug Lamb is here, and several others that I may be leaving out. Retirees from other divisions, and you are certainly distinguished as well. I recognize you, good friends and colleagues, and most importantly, all of you students that I've had the opportunity to meet this morning. The ISU students. ISU has become a truly great institution, and it's because of accomplished students like you. And each of our inductees this morning has a student who will introduce them and who has been assigned to them for their visit to the campus, and they are doing very well by themselves. But I want to say this, and I think this was something that was lost in translation in that 7-month blip in the historical radar screen of Illinois State. I never want you to forget, and I say this to students, but I say this to all of you. I never want you to forget to always embrace the past of this great university. always embrace the past of this great university. Continue to work hard, excel, and enjoy the present. And all of you, regardless of whether you're a student now, an alum, or whether you're a retiree, continue to reach for the stars. But above all, congratulations to our Year 2 inductees, Jim Bennett and Tom Ponce and LG Sims, Representative Sims. To each of you, as well as to members of your family and your friends here today, and I know that you're well represented, congratulations on this wonderful honor that you are about to receive. I've been asked to take just a moment to tell you about the inception and the purpose of the Legacy Hall of Fame. And the idea was conceived in the early days, just about this time of 2011. I had announced my retirement as Vice President of Student Affairs, and as a result of many late night conversations, Sandy, you remember those, we looked into the future. And Sandy and I decided that we wanted to leave behind something very meaningful to Illinois State University, the institution, and specifically to the Division of Student Affairs. We wanted something that recognized the true and complete educational experience of the student. Not just the academic side, the A's are fine, the B's are fine, but the complete educational experience that you all had. And both of us are big, big believers in holistic education. Sandy, and Brent has already mentioned a bit about her past, but it's my pride, even though I was not a part of her life at the time, that she's a former Zion Benton Township High School cheerleader. She looks like a cheerleader, really, doesn't she? I mean, you can see it right there, even now. And I want to say this because I think it's really important, that she beat some virtually impossible financial odds. Translation, she had no money to achieve her lifelong dream to become a teacher. And Brent has already talked about some of those accomplishments, her 33 years, and the influence that she had on so many students, so many of her colleagues, and certainly so many of the student teachers that she mentored, not only when she was the supervising teacher, but also when she worked for Illinois State University. And Doris Groves, I'll say this for you, that she remains as my personal favorite among the nearly 200,000 living alums of Illinois State University. She's my personal favorite. Will you mark that down, please, in your office? And to this day, you know, I feel blessed that my 35, 36, or 37-year career at ISU, depending on how you look at it, provided me the opportunity to work with, and Brent mentioned that I was in admissions, enrollment management, and finally in student affairs. I was able to work with and hopefully have an impact on students from the time that they were high school students to freshmen and transfer students entering ISU, to current students active in organizations, as well as student leaders, such as Tom Ponce and Jim Bennett and LG Sims. The best of the best at Illinois State University. Those who demonstrated success as leaders were extensively involved, were really good at building relationships, and were established in meaningful life experiences. And I truly believe that the continuum that I was able to see this happen was so beneficial to me from one end of the spectrum to the other over 30 years, and I remain very proud of that fact. So we wanted to reward, Sandy and I did, we wanted to reward those who made a name for themselves with significant contributions while at ISU and continued to make a difference in life after their college years. To wit, alumni just like Jim and Tom and LG, as today their names and their stories are added to that great monument down the hall, which was unveiled to us a year ago. And meaningful to us, yes. Meaningful to these people and to Bob last year and others, Yes, so proud we are. So with all the wonderful and meaningful experiences you have had at Illinois State, those individuals who served whatever the role may have been in student affairs, those people in student affairs, folks, were with you every step of the way. While my direct association with the Division of Student Affairs lasted only 5 years, I often said, and I continue to say, that those years were the best years and the most productive years of my entire career. So let me close with some special thank yous. To the members of the Planning and Selection Committee, again, to you. To the countless others in the university divisions all across the campus, and there are a lot of people who contribute to this program, play key roles in making this thing go. To Katie Killian and to Danielle Meller-Schuster, both very special people in my life, for being the inspiration and the driving force behind the creation and implementation of the idea for the Legacy Hall of Fame. And to President Larry Dietz and to Vice President Brent Patterson for your continued oversight of this extraordinary program. And finally, once again, thank you all for being here today, and congratulations to Jim Bennett, to Tom Ponce, and to LG Sims, the 2015 inductees. Your legacy lives on. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. We received an outstanding number of nominations for the Hall of Fame. And when they brought to me the accomplishments of these folks, I knew the selection committee had done a great job in identifying the right persons to be part of the Hall of Fame. And I kept thinking, boy, I wouldn't even stand anywhere in this group. But before we can go any further, I want to take a moment to recognize those in our inaugural class of inductees. And Steve already mentioned one of those. Bob Freitag, who is a judge in the 11th Circuit of Illinois. If you could give Bob a hand, please. Eric Tomlin, who is coordinator of music and media licensing for MTV networks in Europe. Jeanette McBounds, founder and executive director of the nonprofit organization Sowing Seeds, which stands for Sowing Success Through Education to Encourage Dreams to Soar. And Lee Noel, he was co-founder of Noel Levitz. And those of us who work in higher education know that it is a highly regarded national college management consulting firm. As you might expect, this wouldn't be a student affairs event without us involving students. And we have 3 student hosts that are going to introduce each of the honorees. And so now it's my pleasure to introduce Christina Scott, it's Christina, if you want to come up here. Christina is a junior human resource management major from Westmont, Illinois. She's president of the Association of Residence Halls and Emerging Leaders Program mentor, a Business Week mentor, and this is just the end of Business Week, so I know it's been a busy week for you. A member of the Society for Human Resource Management student chapter, and a past study abroad participant, and a 2014 preview guide. And I think there were other things, but I ran out of paper, Christina, so that's all yours. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to introduce our first inductee, Tom Ponce. Highly active in the community since he was a child, Tom Ponce exemplifies the servant leader model. He discovered his passion while at Illinois State, working to close the achievement gap for disadvantaged youth, and completed his bachelor's degree in political science and history education in 2009. As one of the founding staff members of and 6th grade humanities teachers at the South Valley Academy Charter School, Tom utilizes many lessons and experiences gained from his time at Illinois State. While being committed to academic pursuits as part of the honors program, Tom had a level of involvement unmatched by his peers. During his freshman year, he stepped up to serve as Student Unity Coordinator, running for 2 terms as president of the Association of Residence Halls. In the presidential role from 2005 to 2007, Tom led an initiative that resulted in raising more than $10,000 per year for Residence Hall sustainability efforts. During his tenure with ARH, he was a regular presenter at national and regional conferences, helping to enhance the visibility of ISU. Tom served as a resident assistant in 2008 to 2009, his final year on campus. Also in 2008, Tom's dedication to the Illinois State University community was acknowledged as he was selected as Homecoming King. Through activities such as the Civil Rights Movement Trip, Alternative Spring Break, the Anti-Racism and Black Awareness Conference, and Take Back the Night, Tom showed his care for others and commitment to social justice. Participation in leadership, Camp Lead, the Campus Advisory Council, the Mock Trial Team, and numerous other campus and community organizations allowed Tom to further develop his leadership skills, enhance his learning in the classroom, and prepare him for a lifetime of service. After graduation, Tom joined Teach for America and taught near the Navajo Reservation in Gallup, New Mexico, helping to cultivate leaders in the community. One of his significant professional achievements in Gallup was helping to create the district's curriculum-based assessment program. Tom was a Teach for America Excellence in Teaching Award nominee in 2014 due to his outstanding work. After finishing his commitment to Teach for America, he moved to Albuquerque to help start a new charter school, South Valley Academy, for the underserved population in the city. Tom teaches his students not only academic skills, but also character traits to help them better succeed in life. His lesson plan served as a model for the school, and his teaching and mentoring style have helped cultivate a positive school culture. Tom spends numerous hours outside of the school day working individually with students in need and providing professional development for other educators. Tom, we are so pleased to be honoring you today. Everyone, please join me in congratulating Hall of Fame inductee Tom Ponce.
I'm not going to lie, her speech is better than mine. So, okay. First, I'd like to thank the committee for my induction to the Steve and Sandi Adams at Legacy Hall of Fame. It is an honor to stand beside such accomplished Redbirds and valued alumni. I would like to thank those who made this incredible honor happen. To Aaron Pierce, who organized the nomination effort and contacted my colleagues to write letters on my behalf. Aaron, wherever you are, there you are. Aaron, you were such an amazing advisor for me, but you were an even better friend. To the authors of the letters of nomination, your kind words were appreciated, but your actions have been incredible. In what has become the most challenging year in my life, I cannot express enough the gratitude I have for friends like you. I would like to congratulate my fellow honorees for the work that they have done and continue to do in the communities they serve. It is an honor to be associated with such a fine group of people. Thank you especially to my mom and dad for all the support of a fifth-year senior and a space camp graduate. Your lessons on the importance of education, responsibility, and service have stayed with me and will always stay with me. Without you guys, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish, much less afford, to come to this great school. I love you both. I came to Illinois State a very confused sense of purpose. My initial plans were to become the next Indiana Jones, but a strong case of arachnophobia and the harsh reality of Hollywood archaeology killed that dream before I discovered my new dream, to become a teacher. In high school, I'd been extremely involved, so much so that my best friend's father thought I'd pulled a prank and photoshopped myself into the yearbook over and over. I decided college would be a good time to take a break, take a step back, and focus on my studies. but opportunity is the father of change. I learned about the service and leadership floor at the residential life and became more committed to student life. Joining more extracurriculars, I created a double life, one as a student and another as a student leader. My schedule involved classes, meetings, and service projects. My friends became other student leaders, some of whom I have the privilege of calling my closest friends. I think if I hadn't joined the service and leadership floor, I don't think my life would have been the same. I wouldn't have run for residential government president. I wouldn't have helped lead a trip to Memphis about civil rights. I definitely wouldn't have had to chase down a golf cart during ISU's move-in. I can still remember late nights with other students problem solving, talking solutions, and exporting hope. I valued getting the opportunity to represent ISU for conferences in DC and among other colleges and universities in the nation. This school has been transformational for me and for many students. My time in Illinois State was truly shaped from my experiences in student life, from residential government to alternative spring break. I don't believe I would be the leader I am now had it not been for the lessons I learned in and outside the classroom here at Illinois State. The character lessons, successes, and failures created someone who believes in the power of servant leadership, collaboration, and grit. It is something I continue to try and instill in my own students. Mboka Luamboe was one of those teachers who taught me the tradition, for the sake of tradition, is not good enough. His role as my own Socrates helped me to question my own stance on policy and leadership decisions. He made me a better leader and a better man. His door was always open to me, and I'll always remember him and me shutting down a crepes restaurant during the National Conference for Residential Government in San Francisco. I don't think we're allowed there anymore. But I always remember how much I changed for the better because of him, how to take a loss in stride, and how to accept a victory as my own. Thank you, Mboka. ISU is more than the classrooms, more than the academic endeavors, the degrees, and the internships. It's the people here that put so much trust and hope into the students that enter this campus. The trust that we can be stewards of our own campus and leaders among our peers, in our state, and in our nation. I learned here you didn't have to be an action hero to make a difference. I learned that communities can make a greater impact when they collaborate. In closing, I would like to thank the staff here at Illinois State for the amazing work they do in cultivating student leaders and allowing them room to grow their own leadership and, yes, make their own mistakes. My time here gave me a chance to develop my own leadership philosophy, pushed me to help in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, to march to take back the night. And if it wasn't for these opportunities to grow, there's little chance I would have joined Teach for America, stuck it out, and helped to start a charter school, or looking to make a bigger impact in educational policy. Thank you, Steve Adams, not just for your leadership you provided Student Affairs, but for the staff of Student Affairs, who push students every day to develop their sense of identity and self. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. It's my privilege now to introduce Ryan Powers. Ryan is an accounting and finance major from Mundelein, Illinois. He's the president of the Assembly of Student Government and a news and sports broadcaster on WZND. He serves as the treasurer for Criminal Justice Association, is the secretary of Delta Chi Fraternity. He's already been hitting up LG on things that he wants to have changed as a student leader, so now's your chance. All right.
I'd like to introduce you to our next inductee, LG Sims. LG Sims displayed exemplary leadership skills from the moment he first arrived on Illinois State's campus. When he graduated in 1993 with a bachelor's degree in political science, LG had left his mark on ISU through his charismatic style, strong work ethic, and commitment to the university community. LG's commitment to Illinois State was evident through his involvement in diverse groups across campus. He served as a resident assistant in Watterson Towers and held several leadership positions in the Eta Tau chapter of the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, leading the group to receive numerous regional awards. LG's position with the National Panhandle Council and the Black Student Union allowed him to further develop the leadership skills that he would use later in his career in public service. The highlights of LG's involvement at Illinois State was his election to the position of student trustee. working with the Board of Trustees to guide the university during years of significant growth. After graduation, LG went to work in the office for retired Illinois Senate President Emil Jones, Jr. While working for Representative Jones, LG completed a master's in public administration at the University of Illinois Springfield. He later completed a Juris Doctor at Loyola University while continuing to commute from Springfield to Chicago, where he managed his family's business. LG is currently serving his second full term as State Representative of the Illinois 34th District, which includes portions of the South Side of Chicago, Chicago's South Suburbs, and Will and Kankakee counties. During his tenure, LG has championed legislation on improving the quality of schools, job creation, availability of affordable housing, and fiscal discipline in government in Springfield. LG remains active in many civic organizations and community boards that work to improve the quality of life for local residents. As a civic leader, he has specifically worked to provide scholarships and books to children in need and to improve safety in the community. LG also remains active at the local and regional levels of his fraternity, on a number of business councils, and is a member of the Illinois State Black Colleagues Association. He lives in Chicago with his wife and 2 daughters. Please join me in honoring our Hall of Fame inductee, LG Sims.
Oh my God. Okay.
This is not easy,
You make it look easy. Thanks. Appreciate it. Okay, I forgot the picture. We always forget the picture. I'm going to take Ryan on the road with me. That was a wonderful introduction. First, let me say thank you to all of you for being here. This is a tremendous honor, and being able to see this award, but also to be here with these wonderful honorees, and each one of you is a tremendous honor for me. You know, I was told I've got 5 minutes to speak, and my wife tells me it takes me 5 minutes to clear my throat. But I'll attempt to adhere to the rules of engagement. I want to thank one of my colleagues who's joined us, the state representative from this area, my good friend Dan Brady, for being here. Please recognize Dan for us. But I've got to say a few thank yous to some of the people in this room, mainly because I can't go home if I don't. Let me start with thanking my lovely wife, who's here with us. We started our relationship here on this campus. We fell in love right here, and we made a beautiful life together. And I appreciate you for all your love and support, and for always keeping me grounded. She always says to me, you can be representative out there. In here, you're just LG. Now get that trash out. So she always keeps me grounded. But I also have to thank my 2 beautiful daughters who are with me, Kennedy and Mackenzie. Now I know at least one of them is disappointed to be missing school today. But I want both of you to know how much you mean to me. You're the lights of my life and the 2 best parts of me. I've also got to thank the two people who are responsible for me being here, my parents, my mom, who always reminds me that, but for me, you could do nothing. I'm the reason for it all. So, my mom, my dad, who taught us as children that to whom much is given, much is required, and they instilled in us the value of hard work, the value of service, giving back, and doing more. And I appreciate and will always thank you for instilling that in us. Rick Lewis, I don't see Rick. Rick was the driving force behind pulling this together to get me here today. He pulled together the recommendations. He sent out the clandestine communications to folks around to say we're going to make this happen. So I thank Rick for his leadership and for making this happen. And for also my sister from another mother, Lorraine Mohammed, who was also one of the individuals who wrote a letter on my behalf. talking about some of the things that we've done. And Lorraine, I want you to know how much I appreciate you, your words of encouragement, your sage advice and counsel over the years, and thank you so much for all you've done. But I've also got to thank some young men who are in this building who are keeping up the tradition of the chapter that I love so dearly, and that is the Eta Tau chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha. These young men over here are stewards of that legacy, and I want you to know that you are keeping up the legacy of servant leadership to this community, and I appreciate all that you've done to make sure that the traditions of Eta Tau continue, and they continue moving this university forward. So thank you for doing that. To all of the faculty and staff, my good friend President Deason, First Lady Deason, their absence, Vice President Patterson, and the entire Student Affairs team, this is a tremendous, tremendous honor, and I am so grateful to be here. But I could not stand here without thanking the individuals that this award is named for. Division Sandi Adams. You have meant so much to this university. I don't think you understand just how much you've meant to this university. We thank you for your tireless dedication and your unwavering commitment to the students of the Illinois State community. Please, that's it. Your legacy ensures that if students follow the lessons that are here, they're taught here in this university, and they take full advantage of those lessons, they're going to go out and make a positive impact on the world. They have no choice. And I thank you for establishing that legacy. To my fellow honorees, I am Tom, Jim. I'm completely honored to be going to experience this induction with you. The work that you are doing to make the world a better place is a testament to the lessons that we've all learned here. And I want to say congratulations to both of you. As I was sitting there in my seat and looking at our university seal, I thought about those words, gladly we learn and teach. To some, those are platitudes, words to fill up space on that logo. But to us, we know it's much more than that. It's a call to arms for each student and each person who touches the Illinois State community to go out and make a positive impact on the world, to make sure that we leave the world better than we found it. We understand that in order for us to be better, we have to engage. If you look at the three of us, there is a common theme. Each one of us is an advocate, whether it's for students in New Mexico, whether it's fighting for marriage equality, or whether it's working for working families in the Illinois House of Representatives. We advocate. And those are the lessons that we learned right here on this campus. We learned that we have a responsibility to do more. We have a responsibility to give back. We have a responsibility to leave the world better than we found it. My grandfather, he said it a different way. He said that the things that you do for yourself, they die when you die. The things that you do for others, that is your legacy, because that lives on. It is a result of those lessons that we are able to go out and make a positive impact on the communities that we serve. And that's why I am so honored to be here with you. As I prepare to take my seat, I want to leave a few words with you from renowned civil rights leader and man of Alpha Phi Alpha, Dr. Martin Luther King. He said, human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step towards the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle, the tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals. This is no time for apathy or complacency. This is a time for vigorous and positive action. Our communities, whether they're Normal, Illinois, the South Side of Chicago, or Albuquerque, New Mexico, expect nothing less from our time, energy, and talents. After all, we are Illinois State, where the good become great and the great become outstanding. I want you to know how much I am truly honored to be here, and how much I would ask all of us to live by those words. Gladly we learn and teach. Thank you so much.
Thank you for those wonderful words. Matt Riley is a senior sociology major with a minor in women's and gender studies from Aledo, Illinois. He's been involved with Pride while he's been here at ISU, Lambda Psi Omega, Leaders of Social Change, Students Today, Leaders Forever. And I got that right. I always say Students Today, Leaders Tomorrow. But and the United Campus Christian Foundation.
I am honored to introduce our final inductee for the 2015 Hall of Fame class, Jim Bennett. Jim Bennett was involved in campus at Illinois State and completed a bachelor's degree in marketing in 1987. Jim found his niche as an elected member of the Association of Residence Halls, serving as the president his senior year. He founded a campus chapter of American Red Cross and served a year on the Academic Senate. Jim's natural leadership abilities also led him to advocate for LGBT students as a member of Pride. Learning how to lead and serve on campus committees provided a unique foundation for Jim's career and in many ways helped set his path. Today, Jim has more than 25 years of professional experience in advocacy, strategic planning, and development experience, and has dedicated himself to improving the lives of marginalized populations. Jim worked as the Marketing and Development Director for the Sargent Shriver National Center on Poverty and Law, and also spent 10 years at the American Red Cross, where he had led development, marketing, and programmatic initiatives. While at the Red Cross, Jim provided services for veterans of Operation Desert Storm and record-setting contributions for the organization. During this time, Jim also managed to complete a Master's of Business Administration from the University of Illinois, Springfield, receiving his degree in 1994. Jim is currently a leader in the movement to achieve full recognition of the civil rights of the LGBT community. He serves as the Midwest Director for Lambda Legal, focusing on public policy, development, and outreach across a 10-state region. He was a lead strategist in the Illinois and Iowa marriage campaigns, creating and implementing broad, layered grassroots programs, educating thousands, and building sustained support for equal marriage rights. In 2013, Bennett chaired Illinois Unities for Marriage, the statewide coalition that led the successful effort to win the freedom to marry in Illinois. Jim currently serves on the board for Refugee One, which supports refugees fleeing war, terror, and persecution to build new lives. As a longtime member of the Broadway United Methodist Church, he has advocated locally and nationally for the full inclusion of the LGBT community in the Methodist denomination. Jim has also found a home in Chicago's vibrant theater community. Having graduated from the famed Second City, Jim has written and performed in 14 sketch comedy reviews for Gayco Productions, Second City, and Annoyance Productions. He performs occasionally with the improv group Shonderford and was the Moth Storytelling Grand Slam champion in 2013. Please join me in congratulating Jim Bennett.
So I can stare at it. I realized when LG was talking that I'm the old alumnus, because when I was here, the motto was, "And gladly would he learn and gladly teach," from Canterbury Tales. It was a controversy when they shortened it. Thank you, Vice President Patterson, and I also want to thank Division Sandi Adams. It's been wonderful meeting you, and especially for creating this Hall of Fame within the Division of Student Affairs. I assure you that I would not be in a Hall of Fame if it was based on my academic record alone. And I never allowed a class or a test to get in the way of an important student affairs meeting. I want to thank Mike Shermer, who I believe was somewhat behind this Hall of Fame and was a friend of mine both on campus and throughout my life. I want to acknowledge my husband, Terry, and it's so new it's almost awkward to say the word husband. We're sort of training ourselves. But he's wonderful, he's super smart, and he's also the foremost scientist on sudden death cardiac arrest. So I just wanted to get that out there. And then there's a couple people here just because I was involved in the marriage fight, and it was so recent that I feel like I need to recognize Dave Bentlin, who many of you know over here, is a true leader. He helped us recruit our plaintiffs for the Illinois marriage case. He really worked hard in winning hearts and minds in central Illinois, and just fantastic work. And then, of course, Representative Sims, who we tormented, and he was a strong voice on our side. His understanding of families and caring about families extended immediately to our work, and worked hard with his colleagues to tell that story. And so I thank you for your votes, because it would not have happened otherwise, without question. And I want to thank Matt Riley, who's been my student host, who I find to be a really courageous and extraordinary young man who lives a very authentic life. And to be honest with you, I did not lead that extraordinary, authentic life when I was here. I was closeted, and it made me very afraid to even think that I could be gay or out. And so it's wonderful to see you here and the work you're doing. And the thing that was so odd about being closeted at Illinois State was I was on this incredible path with student affairs, which was so much about not only the development of the students around us, but ourselves, and really leading our full lives. And I was lucky enough to have these three mentors, all of which are no longer here, and one has moved on even further, that had profound impact on my life. And I just wanted to tell a little bit about each of them. The first was Trish Williams, my hall coordinator when I was first in RA. She was doing her thesis on the Myers-Briggs, real world of Myers-Briggs, such a shock for student affairs. And she had studied under Isabel Briggs, and the RAs were her lab. And I am not just an ENFP, but I was the perfect ENFP because I was all extrovert, all intuitive, all perceptive, and Trish was an ESTJ. So we had a lot of issues, and she had really taught me to understand that my intuition was this tool, a real tool that I could use to make decisions, and it could guide me, but I should in no way expect it to influence others. It wasn't enough just to tell her that I knew I was right. And she taught me how to make my case and find the facts and find the ways to tell my story. The second was an amazing woman named Geneva Walker Johnson, who held some important job in the Office of Residential Life, as we called it at the time, and was my advisor to ARH. And she and Trish were very close friends. They were both African American women, and they had been part of the civil rights struggle in the 60s, and they had dedicated their lives to racial justice, and both had broken many glass ceilings, both before they came here and while they were here. She was extraordinarily patient with me. I grew up in Springfield, Illinois, and I really did not have any understanding of the issues of race and the responsibility I had in my role as a student leader to be inclusive, and my role as a white man, and the privilege I had to be able to focus on racial justice. And it's been part of my life ever since. I didn't even know I get emotional. I don't know what I would have done without them. And third was Jude Boyer. And I don't know how many people know Jude that were here, but it is almost impossible to adequately describe her, although my friend Dan Wagner and I do amazing impersonations of her. And in fact, everyone I know that knows Jude does an amazing imitation of her. But she had taught me very practical lessons. And so when you would go into her office, it was the absolute best time. You just look forward to it for so much. And some of it was just as simple as the how-tos of working through committees, or that if you're gathering information at cocktail parties, you needed to write it down right after it was over because you weren't going to remember anything the next morning. But the biggest lesson that she had taught me was to make sure that everyone was at the table when you were doing your work. And we would have very messy meetings, setting fees and the room and board committee meetings and things like that. And she believed that if you had everyone there that had a stake in the issue, and especially those that disagreed with you, especially those that had opposing views, if you could get through that process and have an outcome, the outcome would be impossible to question once you were done. And so you were able to move forward with incredible confidence. Of all the achievements I'm most proud of to have been a part of in my experiences since Illinois State, as well as when I was here, I have to say that student affairs provided the foundation for the role that I've been able to play. I'm sure academics had some part of it, but I just don't remember. I only remember this stuff from here. The fight for freedom to marry in Illinois provided a very good example, because when we first began, and I'm confident Representative Sims could tell this story better than myself, but we had a supermajority, and we had just made this decision that we could easily pass the bill in this very insider's approach with some well-paid lobbyists, and it didn't go so well. And we had a setback. We didn't get a vote in May at the end of the session, and we had to take a step back, and there was a recognition that certainly I had and many of us did, that we didn't have everyone at the table, that we hadn't included people. We didn't recognize the cultures of the state of Illinois and how this state functions and works. And so we restarted, and we went back and we pulled everyone together, and we also recognized that for the LGBT community, we are at a place where we're at the inside, and we're sitting and we're working with our reps and senators to make decisions, but we're still also on the outside, and we still have to protest, and we still have to fight for our rights. And as messy as it was, what we learned was when we listened to others and really listened, and when we respected where people were coming from, especially the people that were not on our side, we could advance, and ultimately we did, and our success was unstoppable. And Illinois should be congratulated, because in addition to passing it legislatively, which is always sweet when the people do it, it also, in Illinois, is one of only 2 states in the country that passed it legislatively that made no compromises in that bill, that we did not give up any rights in terms of existing protections for women or minorities or the LGBT community in passing it. And so it's a victory that all of us share. Let me see where I'm at. Although there's times that I wish I could go back and learn to be more authentic when I was here, I wouldn't, mainly because I spent a lot of time with Mike Shermer watching Star Trek, and I know what happens when you mess with the time-space continuum. It is extraordinarily messy if you change the past, but also because even in the time of me when I was here and I had self-doubt, Illinois State met me where I was and allowed me to really find my path. And so I thank all of you. Thanks.
I want to thank you very much for all your comments. I recently was meeting with a student, and she asked me, why do you enjoy doing student affairs work? And this is why. That we get to work with wonderful students day in and day out, and we get to see you grow as students, but we take pride in what you do when you leave this university. So thank you for what you have done and those wonderful words that I hope those that are students here and our staff can take those words and learn from them and grow ourselves. So thank you. I want to thank all of you for joining us today, and I want to take a moment, if we can give another applause and recognition for our wonderful recipients today. Also want to remind you that we have the Hall of Fame display out in the corridor, so if you can make it around all the chess players, and we've put updated information there, I invite you to do that. And I hope you have a great weekend, and thank you for joining us this morning.